Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank
you. You didn't miss much. Thanks. We got it fixed. Thank you, Michelle.
To summarize, all that you missed is that I was complimenting Olivia on how well she pulls off the middle part, because I cannot. But my question was, okay, why and how so this Columbia post-acute care team was just like, they almost wanted us to leave when they found out that we could even sell Medicare Advantage, because they were like fuming, like fire coming from their head about anything Medicare Advantage, because they cannot get rehab covered by those plans. How legally can Medicare Advantage plans not cover it if A and B cover it?
So it's not necessarily about how it's covered. It has everything to do with network. Because a lot of times, again, these Medicare Advantage plans, reminder that they're like, the networks can be different. So that, like, again, like if you go like to your physical therapy or things like that, you can have services in that, like inpatient service or inpatient, you can have certain services covered and that be in network. But the actual facility, if they end up being an inpatient there, may not be in network.
So the issue is specifically, and they named like 4 big carriers, that they'll only cover 14 days of rehab. And they're like, they need more. They need more rehab, but the plans will not cover it.
It goes off
how can that?
So, but technically the plans will cover it, but it's a lot more work from the doctor. Because at this point, a lot of times Medicare Advantage plans will require they have like a plan of care and will require a lot more requirements to prove that they need more than 14 days. So again, a lot of skilled nursing facilities, nursing homes, a lot of those individuals hate Medicare Advantage plans and call them Medicare replacements plans. So if you're with somebody and they're on a Medicare Advantage plan, they go into a facility, the first thing, because when they do that as an inpatient, a lot of times they get a special election period, an institutionalized special election period. And those organizations will say, you need to get off this Medicare Advantage plan immediately. And it kind of screws them over, because then they say you need to get back on original Medicare, because Medicare Part A does pay for home health care, does pay for a lot of the services, for $0. And then they'll screw them out because they don't qualify for a Med Sup. So you have to be really, really careful whenever you have people that enter in these facilities.
So these aren't institutional plans.
Okay.
It's literally like, we're talking about like the big main like PPOs here.
Right. No, what I'm saying is that's why like these institutionalized plans exist, is to work whenever they are institutionalized. Not because they even treat them any differently, but the institutions are familiar with them. Oftentimes, institutionalized plans will have agents that actually, Mike Gatorna used to be one of the institutionalized plans offering. Like, he used to actually work in the nursing homes for United Healthcare and be their Medicare Advantage guy. He was a United Healthcare employee, he wasn't even considered an agent, and all he did was write institutionalized plans. Essentially, it's just because, one, why do these carriers hate them? Why do a lot of people hate them? Their compensation is less because they're negotiated. They're not in network oftentimes. And then after a certain amount of days being there, the Medicare Advantage company will say, okay, you need to prove that they need to stay in there.
So the doctor himself in the meeting, he was like, I have tried after that 14 days. I have called them. I have written letters, and these plans will not approve it beyond the 14-day rule.
That I don't understand. Because like you said, they do have to do like up to the 21 days. They have to recover it, the $0, just like A and B does. But they do have additional, and one of the qualifications being that it's a network. But then they'll just say, like, you need to have like a plan of care, saying that this person still requires it.
Yeah,
I hear it a lot. Maybe not to the extent of like they can't get it done, but I do hear quite a bit that that those providers that work in like RUSC or like the institutionalized inpatient skilled nursing hate Medicare Advantage.
Yeah,
and will try to get them off of it.
Yes. Yeah.
So just be careful of that, because again, a lot of times the providers will give bad advice. Even if that plan isn't great for that provider, they will still get them to enroll into a PDP and will not get them to get a Med Sup. And so they basically go a year or however long until that next year with only having A and B and then Part D. So you got to be really careful.
I don't think they were doing that. They were just trying to understand why
that's an option.
Why they couldn't get.
Yeah.
And they listed the 4 main carriers.
Yep. So that's what Brad mentioned, just had
Yeah.
the same thing happen to him, just had a person get sent home after a few days of rehab and a stroke. He can barely walk. Do most MAPD plans have the 40 hours home health care, though? Some do, certainly not all, and I don't know that I would even say most.
Yeah.
But keep in mind that Medicare Part A does pay for home health care 100%, as long as they have a 60-day plan of care, have been in the hospital for the sufficient amount of time, and are working with a in-home provider with, again, the doctor's plan of care in place. So,
Got it.
more to talk about that.
Yeah,
that could be a
sorry.
topic on
That
its
was
own. That could be, it happens.
Derailed us big
No,
time.
it happens a ton. Well,
But
guys,
still kind of on topic with seminars
it
today.
is.
Because it was a seminar that we gave
Yeah.
at a post-acute.
So
care.
this was actually one that Carrie wanted to talk about, talking about seminars again, and just kind of how they've really impacted your career and how many clients that you've gotten.
I've had one the last 2 weeks. I've had one every week for 6 weeks.
That's a lot. Are they
I've
having
still
it in
got
person, or are they all virtual?
All in person.
So it's so funny that you say this, and I want to bring it to this point. Seminars are back. People miss the face-to-face action. So I remember I actually am one of the executive sales directors at Senior Marketing Specialist, and we had Carrie come talk to our marketers and our team here to kind of be like, hey, I want them to hear from somebody who built their business from networking and seminars. And something you said that I love, that, like, again, I hate to, put you on the spot, but you're like, I feel like COVID has made me complacent. You're like, I got so used to doing only virtual seminars. I got so used to it that, like, I need to get back doing face-to-face. And again, I think that's
true.
Truly because face-to-face is back. So you're back. You're doing
I'm
it.
back, yes. Now, these aren't I still have gotten complacent with not, like, the seminars I used to do at the beginning were, open to the public. I would market them on Facebook. I would market them to my clients and invite their friends. Those, which are still wonderful, yes, I need to get back to doing those face-to-face. The ones that I've been doing for these 6 weeks have been at organizations where I have been invited to share to organizations about Medicare.
Yeah, I love that. And so, do you feel like, what's more profitable for you? Doing them to where, like, you're invited and maybe you're not talking to beneficiaries, but you're talking to a crowd that you were invited to? Or do you find that you get more clients from hosting an event, advertising it yourself, pushing out, like, it is your event?
Actually, I think the ones where I'm invited, even if I'm not expecting it. Like, last week I spoke to an insurance group. It was roughly 50 people that were, like, the administrative team of a large insurance group with, like, I think they had 6 branches.
So this insurance group, were they P&C? Were they
commercial?
Commercial, okay.
And none of them they had like 20 agencies associated with it. None of the agencies did any type of Medicare. But I was expecting, like, they're still working. So, I was expecting, like, younger aged people in the audience. No, all of them were, like, in their 50s, and they had questions about either themselves, things that they've heard from their parents, or their spouse was older. And so 7 people afterwards specifically came up to me and was like, can I get your card? I have a question about my brother. I have a question about me. I have a question about my husband.
Yeah.
7 different referrals
That's so awesome.
that I got from that one meeting.
That's so awesome.
That was the highest one I've ever gotten from any seminar, was last week. Well,
let's break into it. So again, Carrie's kind of like the queen of seminars, and does them all the time.
Isn't there an SMS agent at the lake that does seminars or something like that?
Yeah, a lot of our agents do.
Okay.
We have, in fact, that was part of the reason why I actually spoke with CSG last week. We did a webinar, a CSG hosted a webinar, asked us to speak, because we do have a lot of agents who do really successful seminars and talking about topics and things like that. But this is why people do seminars. I know, like, it used to be, and I think it's a little different now, but it used to be people feared public speaking more than they feared death.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was, like, a huge thing. And
I still do.
I think that's so funny because you're so good at it.
It's just the first, like, 2 minutes. If I can get past the first 2 minutes, then I'm golden.
It's the walk up to the stage for me. Like, the walk up, I'm okay. And then it's an adrenaline. But what I love about seminars is that it makes marketing and prospecting into one. Because marketing and prospecting are two different things. Marketing is whenever you're getting your name out there, brand recognition, getting people to want to seek you out because they know who you are, they've heard of you. You don't have to run leads. People are actively coming to you. That's what good marketing does. Versus prospecting, which is you going to the people and saying, here, I'm going to work with you. Like, you're seeking out people. You're prospecting. Yep. Seminars do both. Seminars build your name recognition, show you put a microphone in front of a room with somebody and they're an expert. I don't care what they're talking about. They look like they know what they're talking about. And you advertise it. You get people excited about it. You get people to know and familiar with your services, but you're also going to get appointments from them most of the time. Not every time, but most of the time. So I love seminars for that reason. It does both very, very efficiently.
It does, because when I think of the ones that I had open to the public that I was inviting actual seniors, like my potential clients, I feel like I have definitely gotten some clients from those, but those types of people, I feel like they're also doing their homework and they're kind of, maybe they're going to multiple ones versus like last week. I mean, I'm super excited that I got 7 new clients from that I was completely not expecting because I was educating, I thought, other insurance people.
Well, that's what I love. Let's talk about this, the type of seminars. And this is exactly what you're talking about. There are seminars that you're doing, kind of like we just talked about, where it was to the public, you created them, you invited people there. Seminars to the partners, which has been keeping you really busy lately. Yes. And then I also want to talk about seminars to clients versus seminars to those prospects and what those look like. Before we do, though, a really good question came up, and it was asking about from Jigsaw Planning. But with seminars, don't you have to submit the presentation to Medicare, or AKA to CMS? I thought meals were not allowed if you're talking about Medicare. So basically, as far as you're talking about 2 different guidelines, 2 different compliance guidelines. Yep. So that last point there was talking about sales events versus educational events. That's really where compliance comes into hand. The only time you have to, when the marketing rules and things like that are going to apply, is if you're talking specifically about C and D benefits. If you're going to be talking about $0 premium with a Part B give back, if you're going to be going through this is what United Healthcare's plan is going to look like in 2023, that is considered a sales event and must be registered with that carrier as a sales event. That's whenever you're going to have those rules apply, like the the meals, the what you can say, what you can't say, things like that. I recommend sticking to, aside from ANOC, which we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but I recommend sticking to educational events.
Then you don't have to.
Exactly.
It's so much easier.
You don't have to register it. You can, I would still advise that you be leery of the $15 per person gift rule, but you can serve donuts, you can serve pastries, you can have coffee. Some people will do full meals at a educational event. What I would recommend doing if you do want to do a full meal, don't do a Medicare 101. I would recommend doing things like the top 10 things you didn't know about Medicare, how Medicare works with diabetes, ways to make the most out of your Medicare benefits, things like that. I just don't like Medicare 101s. They don't draw a big enough crowd. They are a lot of work. People don't really care about Medicare 101.
Yeah, you can fine tune it to niche. And I remember I did one a couple years ago that was Medicare for veterans. You're kind of targeting a niche there, something that's going to set it apart from just Medicare 101.
Yeah, exactly.
And also when we talk about seminars to partners, that's even a whole different type of compliance because for instance, tomorrow I'm talking to 20 financial advisors. None of them are actual my prospects. That would be just like me educating you.
Right.
You know? So now I still don't talk United Healthcare has a $0 whatever. But I guess that's a question. Could I?
Well, the interesting thing is
it's not any prospect.
Since they're not considered beneficiaries. You know what I mean? Right. It's all about what you're saying to beneficiaries.
I just kind of realized that.
So, as far as what you can and can't say because you're not presenting specifically to a clients. It's not even to your clients,
to a prospect.
But to a prospect, to beneficiaries, you can get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
It has to do with everything about when you're talking to a room of people who are 65,
who are Medicare beneficiaries,
who are there to learn about Medicare as a beneficiary, not as an advisor. It's the same reason why we're able to do Medicare 101s, and we're able to do. We just did the United
True.
Healthcare rollouts because, and again, that's information that's privy, but we're not talking to beneficiaries.
Yes.
We're talking to other professionals. So you do again.
Right.
The rules are very different when talking to your partners versus talking to beneficiaries.
Yeah. Don't mention the premium. You never know when there will be a process.
And again, it has everything to do with compliance. Has everything to do with intent.
Yes.
What is the intent of that? Is your intent at that event to gain a bunch of prospects from that audience? Then again, those are going to have different rules. If the purpose of that event is to educate people who are advising clients and will be advising on things like this, then the rules are going to be different for them, even if they are over the age of 65. The intent of that was to educate professionals on how they will advise their clients.
Just like, for instance, last week, that insurance group I spoke to, I went into that thinking they were, the majority of them were just like Olivia and I. They were admin team for a large insurance group. I did talk about, many of the Medicare Advantage plans don't have a premium, or maybe it's a very low premium. My intention was not to get any sales from that meeting. Now, the fact that some of them, their spouses were Medicare aged,
that was not the intent.
That was not the intent. So, I'm not worried that Medicare is going to come after me because my intentions were not that.
Now, I do recommend you having a record. Like, if that person comes from that, keep that seminar on record for 10 years. That's part of the TAM enrollment.
Yep, I keep all my seminars.
You keep that seminar on 10 years so you can refer back to it, show exactly what was talked about. But, that's where the new compliance rules come along, as far as making sure that whatever leads to that enrollment is kept on record, and you have that. So that would be completely fine. But yeah, again, when it comes to, let me ask you this, with you talking about the types of seminars, when you're marketing to or doing a seminar with prospects versus a seminar to partners, how are those different? Tell me a little bit about why those look different to you.
The ones to my partners, like, how do I get them? Or like they're doing the marketing for me. They, just like, so last week, about a week before that, the HR person who was in charge of their lunch and learn, she goes, "Hey, I'm going to start marketing your lunch. Can you send me a short bio? Can you send me some questions?" They play like Kahoot at the end.
I love that.
And so they were marketing it for me to all the 200 some employees that they have. So I didn't actually do any of the marketing versus the ones that I'm promoting to the public. I market those on Facebook, basically any social media, or I would reach out to my clients and invite them, or if they tell them to invite their friends as well, or really just word of mouth. Like, if I have some of my strategic partners, I will tell them, "Hey, I'm doing a seminar that's open to the public. If you know of any clients or coworkers, whoever that would benefit from it, if they're turning 65 soon, tell them to come." That's how I would typically market those.
I love it. Now, do you do any seminars specifically for your clients?
I haven't.
So I work with an agency, and they do it specifically for ANOC. They'll do it throughout the rest of the year, but they will invite their clients. We'll just talk about the ANOC. So they'll say, okay, so basically we know, in most areas we'll have 3 plans that our clients are on. So, that's kind of, you can really say they're either on this one or this one, maybe 3 different ones.
Yeah.
So what they'll do is they'll say, hey, for everybody who is on this plan between October 1st and October 14th, I'm going to do an ANOC presentation to kind of go over what your benefits are going to look like in 2023. And so they will do that. And then they will say, and it is registered as a sales event because you're going over specific information, but they'll say, go ahead and invite any of your friends or loved ones who are curious about this plan as well. So what that does is it knocks out a ton of your appointments that you're going to deal with them, hey, you can just stay where you're at. You don't have to move, and which is a time suck during an EP.
Man, or I need to do this.
Yes, it works amazingly. And then you tell them, or if they want to change, schedule an appointment with me after October 15th. So that way you're only having one-on-one appointments with people with your current book of business that need to change, but they're still hearing from you.
But you couldn't, so would this have to be before October 15th?
It wouldn't have to be, but it's
But
best.
You still couldn't talk about other plans then?
Well, I mean, again, whenever you're doing an ANOC,
I've never done a sales event.
Yeah,
I've never done
they're
one.
super easy. They really are, because if you have a really good relationship with your local market rep, they do a lot of the work. In fact, they'll do the ANOC presentation for you.
Ooh, okay.
So you get up there, and like our local person is like Raghi with UHC. You would go over there, tell him I want to do an ANOC meeting, say this is when I'm going to do it. He would even come and do the presentation if you wanted him to. You could do it, but he could even do it. Yeah, as long as you have a good relationship with your rep, he could do the presentation, and then you just say if you are not happy with how these benefits are going to look, or if you've had any major changes in your drug or medical, let's have an appointment. But if you're okay with this, you're going to be okay this year. These are the only changes you can expect. And then again, encourage
that
them.
would knock out so many meetings.
Yeah. And again, you're only meeting with people, and it allows you to get new clients, because you're able to do bulk presentations, and you encourage them to bring their friends and neighbors, so that you are prospecting with that as well.
ANOC is ANOC for Annual Notice of Change. That's what
that is a letter that your clients will be getting toward the end of September. Yeah, basically saying this is what your current plan is going to look like the following year.
I like the idea of being specific about Medicare and diabetes, or Medicare and veterans, rather than Medicare 101. How do you get the specific audience?
That's a really great question.
So, like for my veteran one, I somehow, through my chamber relationships, I knew somebody who was in HR at the VA, and I told her about this, and I think she posted a flyer. I'm trying to think of some of the other specific ones I've done.
I know, like, a lot of it is going to be, like, where you were advertising it. A lot of things, like, go, like, the VFW to advertise you're doing a veterans
the public
thing.
library.
Yes. Your social media will get a ton of traction.
Yeah.
You can even, like...
And just put that in the title, Medicare and diabetes.
Yes. You can boost, if you are going to we actually talk about that here in a second, some tips. If you are going to do an event, go to social media, create a Facebook event, invite people to it. You can even boost that event and have it specifically go to people who have liked veterans. You can get really specific about the demographic that goes to. So, yeah, the biggest thing is doing exactly what Carrie did. It's just building some networking partners. And
know who to reach out to when you're having an event like this.
Which leads into the next point. So these are actually just a few of the events
I had forgotten some, like the Columbia Post-Acute.
Yes.
These are different organizations that I looked back at my PowerPoint file on my desktop, and these are all different organizations that I have spoken to. Multiple Rotaries, BNIs, different church groups, nonprofits, specifically the ones that I've spoken to. There's many senior-focused nonprofits that are targeted towards, many of them are keeping seniors independent for as long as possible. Those are great. And these are all, again, when I look at this list, aside from the independent living list, none of them were prospects. So your intent is educating referral partners. That's all it is. And from that, just like the other day, I met with 7 people in that audience, knew somebody, whether it was a spouse or a brother or sister, whoever it is, that they wanted me to help. Let's see, financial advisors. My next 3 weeks, I'm presenting to different Edward Jones organizations. Retirement conference, estate planners. So I think I mentioned this, but beginning of this year, there was an estate planning council. That's a national association. So there's a Mid-Missouri one. But look that up. It's the Mid-Missouri Estate Planning Council. It's everywhere. So
that's awesome.
Look for one that's in your area. That is full of, to be in that group, you have to be an accountant, an estate planning attorney, or a financial advisor. Huge opportunity with that group. Look it up in your area. Other insurance partners, like last week, spoke at an insurance group but they did commercial lines and didn't have anybody that did Medicare. Provider billing, I spoke to a billing department of just a medical office. It was an orthopedic group here. That was big. I also spoke to a DME billing company.
Ooh, yeah, I bet they just get a lot of questions.
Yeah. Independent living, I've spoken at multiple assisted living I haven't done any at the actual like assisted or skilled,
Mm-hmm.
just like the independent ones. And then coming up, I'm speaking to I think it's the Mid-Missouri HR Association group. That's just
Very interesting.
It's just a group full of HR professionals that meet every month.
Who have like the most questions, because everybody is asking their HR rep, you know, what do I do? This is happening. So again, I think I think what you do is such a great job of, and when seminars really put you in the right place for, is to be the expert that the experts refer. So you go and you teach the experts. You provide a value. And this is what I love when people are like, well, I need to know, how do I go network with people? You're telling me I can't pay them for the referral, so why the hell are they going to refer me? Yep. It's things like this. You are a resource for the expert. You are the expert that experts talk about.
And I learned the most. I have gained so much education from doing these because, like, probably one of the ones I was the most nervous for was that estate planning presentation, because
that was pretty recent, right? Just a couple months ago?
Yeah, I think it was in February.
Yeah.
The questions I got from the accountants and the estate planning attorneys, they saw different things on their end. Mm-hmm. You know, lots of IRMA appeal questions from the accountants.
Right.
And questions from the estate planning attorneys about, I don't even remember, just bizarre, like very specific questions, or the questions we got from the post-acute care team. I've never gotten those.
Well, it's all about what's in it for me.
Exactly.
Why do they want this information?
Medicare affects each of these groups completely different, and so you will learn a lot by their questions. And some of them, you're not going to know the answers to.
Very interesting. So right here, guys, just to wrap this up, these are some tips. Again, seminars and stuff can give you the warm and fuzzies, but if you end up like not getting appointments from this and not getting business from it, then honestly it's costing you money, not making you money. So these are some tips, again, to help you make the most out of your seminars. Call to action. Make sure you know that they know the next step is to have an appointments with you. Advertising, I say 3 weeks in advance to get people there so they can clear their schedules. Make it a Facebook event. Have snacky snacks. I just want a good excuse to get some snacky snacks.
Ooh, partnering with someone. That's great. One of my financial advisors, she said she's doing a long-term care seminar and wants to make it long-term care and Medicare.
I love that.
So
that'll
I'm probably
get so
going to
much
do that.
Traction.
And, the long-term care kind of sweet spot is much younger. It's 50s.
Yes.
So I'm going to be educating people way before they even hit Medicare age, and they're going to remember me.
But they have parents, they have sisters, they have brothers.
I also am going to feel confident that when they age in, they're going to remember, I'm not overwhelmed.
Remember that lady.
I remember what she talked about. I'm going to call her.
Yes. So I do want to answer a couple questions. Lee, I want to answer your question specifically about the new Silver Script PDP that is not getting commissions next year.
What?
So we'll talk about that.
Where was this question?
Right?
What is happening? I haven't heard it.
I got it on the text. Deb, let me go back to wanted to screenshot this. Here are the list of organizations just for you, Deb. Go ahead and screenshot it. But while she's screenshotting that, guys, I wanted to make sure you guys knew tomorrow is the 10th annual National Senior Sales Summit. I'm going to move on. Make sure, if you guys want to register for that, it is 100% free this year. You can register by going to smsteam.net. Scrolling down, there's a button there to click for that. So that is, again, tomorrow. It's completely free. It goes from 9 a.m. until roughly around the main stage. So the way that it's broken up this year, that there is, just like last year, there's a main stage, and then after the main stage is done, we release all of the on-demand breakouts. And so...
when will Olivia be presenting?
Yes, so I'm actually doing... All day. So I will actually be doing a main stage presentation as well tomorrow. I'm actually the first up, so tomorrow will be kicked off with our president, Joanne Ray. And then you guys will get to see Sadie. Everybody here knows Sadie. She is kind of the event host this year, so she's kind of directing everybody. And then I will be doing my first presentation. The first topic of the day is going to be Success is Not an Option, presented by yours truly.
Yay!
Where I get to talk about some really personal, fun stuff. Maybe some of it's fun, less than. But we'll be talking about tomorrow
Anything you do is fun. Anything you talk about is fun.
Yeah, we'll be talking about like overcoming adversity and what that's going to look like this AEP. And then after that, Dan Mangus is going to be kind of like an address of the union, talking about what our industry looks like. And we'll be talking a lot about, what's going on with, I hope everybody saw that they're incorporating a maximum out of pocket on Part D plans.
Yes.
And that's looking like they're going to be.
I texted her freaking out yesterday.
Crazy. Yeah.
I was like, this can't be real.
Yes. A potential $2,000 max out of pocket for PDPs that they're going to try to implement over the next 10 years. So that's going to be wild. And then going into after that, we're going to actually there is a panel of agents who, again, one agent's been in the market for 5 years, another agent's been in the market for almost 20 years. So talking about what their AEP tips are. And then, and then it's going to be breakouts all afternoon that are going to be
exciting days.
There is
so
about
much to learn.
10 hours worth of content and
wow.
breakouts. So really, really excited for that as well. So again, that is tomorrow, starting at 9 a.m. Be there sharp 9 a.m. For some great content. And I don't just say that because I am the first presenter. I say that because there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff there. So that is tomorrow.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I'll be watching.
Good. Someone should. So I'm glad it'll be you. You'll be the person.
I won't watch my section.
That is true. So tomorrow, yours truly, your host of Medicare Cafe, because Medicare Cafe is a sponsor. Medicare Cafe has a breakout where we're actually talking a lot about.
Tell me if it's good.
Yeah.
Because I won't watch it.
Oh, I've watched it I've watched
really?
it 4
is
times.
It good?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Talking about, it's actually me interviewing Carrie, because usually I don't shut up. So it's going to be me interviewing Carrie about how she worked with her networking partners. And I love that we do the 3 you have to's and the 3 you can never do to make sure that you are networking with your partners. So very, 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 very cool. Very exciting.
Yay.
Okay, so while I got you up, guys, again, feel free to text this line.
Oh, yes, answer the silver script.
And yes, Brian, pants are optional because it's remote this year. So I know Lee was talking about the silver script, not paying commissions for the Smart RX for new clients. How about the clients on the choice switching to a less expensive premium? So yes, that is true. There will be no commissions paid on that choice plan. They're calling it something different for new business. Your existing book of business, because it's still looking like it's going to be a really competitive, great plan, they can stay there and you will continue to receive renewals on that book of business. And I was pissed when I heard this. I was like, are you kidding me? That's such a popular plan. I had it explained to me and I understand why now.
Okay.
If they were going to continue to pay commissions on that plan, because it is really popular, low premium, it's bleeding right now.
Yeah.
And these are for-profit organizations. So they said the alternative was to say, okay, we're going to hike up the premiums, hike up the deductibles, kill the formularies to where you not have to spend your AEP moving PDP business.
True.
So they're saying you don't have to move, which is a big chunk of business. You don't have to move your book of business. You're going to get paid on it. You can say the same. We just don't want anybody else. We're just done here.
Okay.
So I understand it's frustrating, but it is making it so that you don't have to, because who wants to spend their AEP rewriting, commissions for PDP? You don't want to spend your time doing that. So I understand it, but there are a lot of really awesome options coming down this year for PDP. In fact, Aetna is incorporating some other options. I knew that there was
silver script still the lowest.
So no, it's not going to be. It's from what we're seeing companies come out with. You're going to have a lot more options. You're going to have a lot of really competitive options. Cigna is still non-commissionable for Part D, whenever it's just a standalone Part D, but, things like that. United Healthcare did say that they're using their Part D as a transition to the Medicare Advantage side, so I don't think that they're going to be a go-to product for Part D this year. Yeah, they're saying, their Part D is fine. It's a great transition to their Medicare Advantage plan. So, if you want to have somebody nah, I don't know that I would do that one, but more to come. More to come.
Yay!
I think if I got any more questions, any more text questions on this, I don't see any.
Don't see any.
No. And again, question, again, another, when am I presenting tomorrow? Again, we have a couple breakouts in the afternoon. Me and Carrie have one together, and then I have one about client acquisition during AEP, and then I'll be doing at around 9:40. No, around 9:10 in the morning. 9:10 in the morning I'll be presenting. So.
Yay! Join us tomorrow.
Yes.
We'll join Olivia. I'll kind of be there.
You'll be there.
Kind of.
So any other questions, comments, concerns, threats, or promises, let us know. But again, guys, we really do appreciate it. Look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow at the National Senior Sales Summit.
Yay.
Awesome. All right, so until next time, guys, have fun.
Make money.
And give impeccable service.